and welcome to the Hardline Curling Show. On this edition of the show, Canada crowns its 2024 Senior Curling Champions. Another duo punches its ticket to the mixed doubles trials, and we catch up with one of the players who's hoping to win that very same event just a few weeks from now. The room is down, so let's get right to the opening shot. They were essentially the road teams in Moncton last week, but a pair of Western Canadian rinks will be the home teams when they return to New Brunswick in 4 months' time, wearing the maple leaf as Team Canada at the World Senior Curling Championships. The Everest Canadian Senior Championships wrapped up on December 7th with Team Atina Ford Johnston from Alberta taking the women's crown and Regina's Team Randy Bryden claiming the men's title for Saskatchewan. Ford Johnston is a former junior champ who also served as an alternate for Sandra Schmerler's Olympic and World Champion squad, experience that no doubt helped as she faced Ontario's Joanne Rizzo in the first women's final since 2015 to not feature a team from Saskatchewan. Perhaps a good omen, as that year also saw Alberta claim victory. After 3 blank ends to start, the Albertans opened the scoring with a stolen point in the fourth, but it was the next end that proved to be the pivotal one. Rizzo attempting a come-around tap against 4 Alberta stones, but her shooter would roll out of the rings, giving Ford Johnston a huge steal of 4 and a 5-0 lead. Despite that advantage, though, it still got a little dicey for Team Alberta down the stretch as Ontario scored 2 in the 6th and stole 1 in the 7th to get to within 2, but Ford Johnston would make her final hit in the 8th to ensure a 5-4 victory. The Wild Rose Country foursome, which includes third Shannon Morris, second Sherry Pickering, and lead Corey Morris, represents the curling clubs in Okotoks, Calgary, and Sherwood Park. They claim Alberta's 8th Canadian senior women's title. Meanwhile, on the men's side, James Paul's crew from Sherwood Park was looking to give Alberta a clean sweep of the event, but in a back-and-forth border battle, it was the Regina rink skipped by Randy Bryden, emerging as Canadian champs. Must be something about that maritime air for Bryden, who, along with his brother and second Russ Bryden, won the 1996 Canadian mixed curling title in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. The Bryden brothers, along with third Troy Robinson and lead Chris Semenchuk, found themselves facing an early deficit in the final after a Paul Steele opened the scoring in the second end, but they'd used the hammer to their advantage for the rest of the game, scoring deuces in the 3rd and 5th ends before counting 3 in the 7th to ultimately put them in front for good. Team Alberta needing 3 of its stones in the 8th end just to take the game to an extra end, but the Saskatchewan side would not open the door as they would go on for the 7-5 win, earning the province's 9th Canadian senior men's crown. For Randy Bryden, the victory has significance as his son Josh will also be wearing the maple leaf as the skip for Team Canada at the 2025 World University Games in Italy next month. Father and son now both have a shot at international glory. Teams Bryden and Ford Johnston will be looking to extend a couple of red and white streaks at Worlds. Canada has won back-to-back senior women's titles and 5 straight on the men's side. The World Championships begin April 26th in Fredericton. Let's look back at the final qualifying event for the Canadian mixed doubles trials, the Rocky Mountain Classic, which took place in Banff and Canmore, Alberta last week. It was the last chance for one team to get a direct entry into the trials, which are being held well in advance of the 2026 Olympic Games in order to allow the winners more prep time, especially if they hope to qualify for the men's or women's events as well. Jocelyn Peterman and Brett Gallant have already earned the trials berth with a bronze medal finish at the 2024 Canadian Mixed Doubles Championship, and in Banff they continue to prove that they're one of the nation's top pairs, beating Cadriona Lott and Colton Lott 6-2 in the final. The Lotts had also previously punched their ticket to the trials, and so the last available spot would go to the qualifying event's highest finishing team that had already not earned a berth. That would be Jennifer Armstrong and Tyrell Griffith, who got the golden ticket by virtue of their semifinal finish in Banff. The 19th ranked mixed doubles team in Canada also made the semis at another qualifier in Maple Ridge, BC last month. The other semifinalists, Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang, had already locked up their spot at the trials. When we come back, we'll talk to Kirk Muyres, another athlete who has already earned his spot in the Canadian trials alongside teammate Laura Walker.
I love that curling is a team sport, that we're able to travel the world with friends and family and experience the journey with fans as well. The sport demands so much, whether it's fine motor skills or both physically and mentally taxing. And it's just a fun social sport that you're able to kind of make an extended family all over the world.
Everest is here to support you in the moments that matter. Learn how at everestfuneral.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Don't forget your brooms.
Yep, you got it.
Come on up. Well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, yeah!
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Our next guest is on one of the 16 teams that will be battling for the Trials title. He and teammate Laura Walker are coming off a 4-1 performance at the Rocky Mountain Classic that included a pair of wins over soon-to-be fellow Trials participants. He played on the international stage before, and he's hungry for another chance. Kirk Muyres, welcome to the Hardline Curling Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I appreciate the time. Let's talk about last week's event. How did it go for you and Laura?
Yeah, you know, we've had a good kind of a good fall season. I wouldn't say we've played our best yet. You know, there's been moments of brilliance, but we're just slowly kind of coming on. And last week was certainly the best we've played this year. So it's kind of setting the stage for the Trials, and hopefully we can kind of put that last piece of precision together, I guess, in the next couple weeks as we kind of put the finishing touches on it before we go. But the folks in Banff and Canmore always do a great job, and the field was stacked. You know, it was there was teams that were trying to get ready for the Trials, and then teams that were trying to qualify for the Trials yet. So really, you got the best teams in Canada there competing, and we did a good job of the things we needed to do. It would have been nice to get a couple more wins, but at the end of the day, if we have to pick one event to get a couple more wins at, it's in a few weeks, not last week.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you've already had your trial spot secured for a while now, thanks to the performance at last year's national championship. But how have you been approaching these qualifier events when you're still obviously competing against teams that want to get to that Trials?
Yeah, you betcha. So, I mean, we knew after nationals last season that we were qualified, and then it really came down to just finding, kind of putting together a season that was going to allow us to be the best prepared we could be for the Trials coming up just over New Year's. So we said these are the 3 events we earmarked as events that we know we're going to be playing the teams that we are going to be playing in the Trials. So it was really about finding what those teams have to offer, as well as how we stack up against them, and some of the choices we want to make strategically as well. Kind of use that as kind of a test ground for what we're going to see at the Trials. So we treated these last 3 qualifier events, as kind of testing ground for what we want to do and how we want to perform at the Trials. So I think we did a pretty good job of what we wanted to do. And I think realistically, we probably didn't make as many shots and play as good as we need to yet, but we know we can play that good, but as good as we need to. But there's going to be 15 other teams that have something to say about that.
Yeah, no, of course the field is now confirmed. What jumps up to you about the competition?
Yeah, I think we were pretty. We kind of knew some of the killers that we're going to see in there. Obviously, Botcher and Homan. Those are 2 players that you never want to see on the ice across from you. Jones and Lang, Jennifer Jones, like one of the greatest players ever. She's going to be there. Peterman and Gallant, maybe not necessarily a household name because they don't skip their teams, but two just amazing players that have really played at the top level of the mixed doubles discipline. And then Colton and Kadriana Lott. That's who we played in the Canadian final last year. We've had a lot of big games against them over the years. We beat them in 2018 Canadian final. They beat us last year in the Canadian final, and they're always a powerhouse when it comes to mixed doubles as well. And I mean, those are just a few. And then obviously Nancy Martin and Steve Laycock, fellow Saskatchewan players. Those are kind of the big ones that stand out. But the thing about mixed doubles, and anybody that has watched it, really anybody on any given day can beat anybody, and that's the beauty of watching it, and that's the beauty of being a fan of it. But that's the scary part about being a competitor, is when you step on that ice, you don't know if the team you're playing against is going to bring it or not, and you just got to be prepared for anything that gets thrown at you.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, you're somewhat of an early adopter, I guess, when it comes to mixed doubles. How would you describe how the competitive landscape has sort of changed since maybe going back to 2018 at Worlds?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we've kind of seen it kind of almost come full circle a little bit. I think kind of when I started, there was a lot of players and teams that you saw playing the men's and women's game as well as a mixed doubles game, kind of playing the men's and women's game and sprinkling in a little mixed doubles. And I think over the last few years, you've seen less and less of that. So there's obviously, like I mentioned, some of those big names that are playing both of them yet, but less of the big household names. You're not seeing a Brad Gusher, you're not seeing a Carrie Anderson. Some of those names you would have normally seen maybe the last Olympic trials or last quadrennial. They've really kind of said, you know what, we're just going to focus on the men's and women's game. And then you've seen more players kind of saying we're gonna take a run at this mixed doubles a little bit more seriously. And obviously that's what Laura and I have done. So I think you've kind of seen curling mixed doubles kind of find its place a little bit. Everyone was kind of thrown in, and everyone tried it and played it and tried to do both, and it became too much for a lot of teams and a lot of players. And then you've kind of seen them separate a little bit more now, and I think it's kind of come full circle and kind of built a name for itself, you could say.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little international stuff now. Canada's Olympic berth is not actually assured yet, although this is going to be the team that could potentially represent them, whoever wins the trials. How much of a challenge will the trials winner face at the Worlds a few months after?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be huge. And again, that's one of the reasons I love the fact that Curling Canada made this decision to put the trials a year ahead. It's the team that wins it kind of gets, trial by fire. They get sent to the World Championship, and if they want to go to the Olympics, they got to perform at the World Championship and get their spot. And it's going to be tough. I mean, we've seen it in curling in the last 10 years. The world is getting incredibly good. The world is getting better and better every day. Mixed doubles is no different. So whoever happens to be that team is going to have to go and work their butt off to get to the Olympics. And then hopefully at the Olympics, obviously perform well and get that medal that Curling Canada and Sport Canada and everyone in Canada wants. But it's certainly not going to be an easy trek, even if for the team to win the trials. They're going to have a long road ahead of them to get that Olympic berth.
Now, you and Laura, of course, have been playing together for a while now. How would you describe the dynamic between you two? And has that sort of evolved over the years, as we talked about, dating back to when you guys first started?
Yeah, I think it has a little bit. I think we've kind of stuck to the core things that have made us really good. And we actually had that conversation this week, and that was the beauty of, qualifying early. We could kind of play around with that dynamic a little bit in some of those conversations we had. And really, after this weekend, we kind of came back to, what really made us well over, at the beginning and through our tenure together. So really, it's high communication. It's working hard together. It's supporting each other. It's kind of being that shoulder to lean on for each of us. And so I think we've kind of really went back to that over the last couple weeks, kind of what made us good in the past, and really kind of tried different things over the course of this season, but really came back to that as we head into the trials and use that high energy and that kind of fun dynamic between us. So, you couldn't ask for a better teammate. That's for sure. I'm lucky to have her. And I've always said the key to curling is not being a good curler. It's finding a skip that's a good curler. That's what I have in Laura.
Is it kind of interesting or easier almost to compare the playing in a foursome versus playing in a twosome, where there's fewer people to get on board and kind of be on the same page with?
Yeah, actually, we that's a very good point. We've talked about that over the years. It seems to be, to find four people that are going to be on the same page, that have the same commitment, the same dynamic, and can work well together. It's a lot tougher than two people. And Laura and I are lucky. We found that dynamic that works, and we found kind of the outlook and the mindset when it comes to curling and how we want to approach the game is very similar too. So it's a lot easier to get two people that have the similar mindset, like you say, than four. So I think it is easier in mixed doubles for that.
All right, so it is a few weeks away, but what's it going to take to win these trials?
Well, I think it's going to take for sure our best game. We have to play the best we can play. We have to rest on the fact that we have put in a ton of work and we've done the things we need to do, and we can rest easy knowing we're going to give ourselves the best chance to win. And then obviously you're going to need some luck along the way too. I mean, all sports need that to win championships, but mixed doubles is a special game in that sense. We need a couple of the right sides of the inch and a couple of the right rolls, but at the same time, we can rest easy knowing we've done the things we have to do to be the best we can be at that event, and then we have to go there and let that happen and compete hard. We talked about that. just, compete hard, fight for every inch. Hopefully the rolls go our way, and hopefully we can bring our best stuff for the week, and we'll see where that takes us.
We'll see. Do you think the format at the event makes sure that the best team comes out on top?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, the pool can always be a little dicey. And again, I haven't seen the pools yet. I don't know what they're going to look like. And, it's subjective, and everyone can decide whether it's a good, fair pools or not. But pools can sometimes leave a really good team out, and that's a little bit scary sometimes. But that being said, there's 3 teams from each pool that are going to qualify for the playoffs. So I think generally in that sense, the cream is going to rise to the top. The 3 best teams in each pool for that week are going to get into the playoffs. And then from there, it's really all bets are off. And I think realistically, the top 6 teams, whoever that might be, playing the best on that weekend have a chance to win. That's fair enough. The sudden death game in the final, that's always a little dicey. But at the same time, if you want to be, if you want to go to the World Championship, qualify for the Olympics, if you want to go to the Olympics, you're going to be playing sudden death games that are going to matter a lot. So I think trial by fire, like I said, is good. It's gonna season that team to be the best they can be. Whoever wins that is going to be prepared to win those big games on the world stage. So I think it's good in that sense as well.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to the event. Kirk, best of luck to you and Laura, and thanks for your time tonight.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. We'll talk to you soon.
That'll do it for another episode of the Hardline Curling Show. Thanks again to Kirk Muyres for spending some time with us. Best of luck to him and Laura Walker at the trials. If you would like to see your event featured on the show, just send us an email to steven@iksmedia.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest news. Our next episode comes your way December 20th. Until then, good curling.